So just the other week, I saw this cool looking gaming desktop advertised, and I was like, what is that? That looks kind of interesting. And I clicked on it, and I was like, that's not a gaming desktop. That's a Raspberry Pi 5 that looks like a little gaming desktop. I thought it looked slick. The Pironman 5 from Sunfounder is what it was called. Pironman 5 case does not come with the Raspberry Pi 5. You have to have one yourself. But I was like, you know what? I'm ordering one of these. I used to dig checking out all these different cases for the Raspberry Pis, but with the Pi 5, I've just stuck with the official case. So I grabbed one from Sunfounder. It was like $80, but they did have like 10% off coupon, so it was like $72. A little pricey, but this thing's got a lot going for it. It has like a little almost 1-inch OLED display on the front. It has a lot of cooling, has some RGB effects going on in there. I know that can be, some people don't like that, but I thought it looked neat. It also has where you can use an NVMe M2 SSD to, expand your storage or use, larger storage, more reasonably priced compared to like SD cards, micro SD cards. I thought that was sweet. Has a battery for real-time clock support. A lot of cool little things going on with this case. Gives you full-size HDMI. I don't know how many times I'm like, forget it, I'm not plugging in the Raspberry Pi 5 today because I can't find my damn little adapter for my HDMI. So that was like a big selling point for me, right? So I grabbed one of these, took about a week and a half to get to me. And I want to just go through real quick, putting this thing together, not a tutorial on putting it together, but just kind of explaining things that maybe I saw that were annoying or could have been explained better. And then, just my overall experience using this thing, right? So it did seem like a daunting task at first when I opened up this package, looked at the instructions. I was like, holy crap, there are so many parts here, many different standoffs and screws, little breakout boards that have to be attached, fans. There's tons of stuff here, acrylic pieces, right? But it really wasn't that bad. It's not as bad as it looks. It took me not even a half hour, not even 30 minutes to put this thing together. But I just want to go through this process real quick. So really, it's very clearly explained on how to put things together. It's all images in the manual, but maybe a few things could have been avoided as far as like being a pain in the ass. So like you get to certain steps, like step 6 on the manual shows like put the 4-pin header in. But I found like if you put that in first, it kind of makes other things harder to do. So I waited to put that in type of thing until I got to the point where you actually needed the 4-pin header. But that really was the only major challenge for me with this, putting this thing together. You just have to pay attention to the standoff sizes, the screw sizes, make sure you're using the correct rivets when you get to those points. And that is about it. Now, the tolerances as far as the like screw holes and the acrylic plates, it didn't seem perfect, but it wasn't off to where I couldn't screw things together. I think maybe there might have been a little flex in the metal or something, but I got everything screwed together perfectly fine. And in the end, everything looked slick. So the major thing I think with this device, with this case for the Pi 5, it looks awesome. It looks slick. The cooling works great from what I've seen so far. But that little OLED screen, if you're buying it just for that, I haven't been able to really figure it out yet. I've gone through to check out how to get it going, but on their support documentation, it shows just using the Raspberry Pi desktop OS is the only thing that it's going to work with. That's as far as what I'm seeing with their documentation. But I couldn't get Raspberry Pi desktop to run on this for some reason. I would just constantly get like weird error codes and whatnot, would not go to the desktop at all, because once you get to the desktop, you have to install, the Pironman modules and stuff to get everything working properly. But you don't have to really worry about that if you're not using Pi desktop, which I'm not even going to use it anyway. Like I wanted to use this as just my normal case running Batacera or, RetroPie or whatever, right? So if you're going to use like Batacera and whatnot, yeah, the little screen isn't going to show anything at all. And it's just kind of unfortunate because the screen does show like CPU usage, temperatures, stuff like that. So it could be good for monitoring, but I would imagine there's going to have to be some kind of script or something written to specifically get that to work for other operating systems being ran through this. It's just the way it is. It's a useful feature, but it just isn't going to work at this moment for most applications, it seems. And I don't know why. Maybe some component in here is causing the Pi desktop to not boot. I didn't have a ton of time to like fully go into it. I researched it as much as I could, and I cannot figure out what the problem is. And like I said, I wasn't going to use the Raspberry Pi desktop anyway, so I didn't spend all night, but I did spend like a good hour going back and forth. Okay, let me put the light version on a micro SD card. Oh, let me put it on the M2 drive. Let me get the full desktop. Let me pre-configure it first. Let me do all these different things. And, I did spend a little bit of time, but I could never get it to boot. But then whatever drive I put it on my other Raspberry Pi 5 that wasn't in this case, it boots up just fine. So there's something with the way things are attached here that's preventing it from booting for me. Yeah, keep that in mind. There may be some challenges here depending on what you want to use with it. And that OLED screen just is not really gonna be useful in most instances here. It's unfortunate, but I do like the cooling. I do like the look, and that's the main thing that I wanted out of this device. It is a little pricey, but it is kind of cool. I think for the convenience of having the nice cooling that's going on here, plus the full-size HDMI, I mean, that kind of sold it on, for me. You have access to all your ports on the back, micro SD card slot on the front. If you need to get to your M2 slot, you could just simply take off the 4 screws from the front panel, the acrylic, and then swap that in and out. Like, if you didn't put an M2 drive in there, you just have that board attached and then take off the acrylic and add it later if you so choose. So yeah, it's a cool little kit. You know what I'm saying? It's been a while since I've done videos on accessories for any of the Raspberry Pis, but I thought this one was neat. Just, be aware. Maybe not all the features are going to work for you. They didn't work for me. The OLED display didn't anyway, but there you go. Appreciate you guys. Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. Bye.